oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Big boy, you know the rest is here. Big boy, you know the rest. It's about 11 o'clock here, El Paso time here. I'm leaving Juarez. Going in El Paso, this may be my last trip. My last tenure here in Juarez, Mexico. Since things are changing, essentially, in my situation. I'm heading into El Bajo, and we'll see what happens from there. Got a couple of things to get done before my departure. But it is what it is. What we got hands on. Like I said, currently, God damn, what the hell is going on? It's about 11 o'clock. And we got winds up to about 15, 20 miles an hour. Could be gusting up to about 30. Visibility when we get these kinds of winds and stuff is really, really bad. In other words, the dust picks up to the point where, in a lot of situations, you lose the visibility, and in some situation they have to shut down the highways, especially when the visibility becomes less than like 1/4 mile. And that happens down here it happens down here about a half dozen times a year minimum. The day's March 3rd, so of course winds start to pick up in March, right? Usually. For all my big truck drivers that's driving the box trailer, gotta be a bit cautious, be mindful that the winds being up like it is can cause you difficulties, pushing you all over the highway and quite possibly tipping your truck over. Yeah! I'm gonna get me a drink of this water right here. I had some breakfast this morning. Couple of them Mexican gorditas. Pretty dang on good, I must say. You see this water here? E-Pure or something like that. E-Pure. Oh, let me get y'all see. I think I might let y'all see already, but that's what we're working with here. Sun isn't visible. The sun isn't visible. Current exchange rate, 1940 Mexicana pesos to the dollar. The highest I've seen in the last 6 months was 1990. I never seen it got to 20. Some people said it did make 20, but I didn't see it. And if you want to buy $1, you have to give them 20 pesos, 40 Mexican money. 20 pesos, 40 cents. Mexican money will get you $1. $1 will get you 19 pesos, 40 Mexicana money. Which is pretty dang on good. Last year this time we was trading at about 16.50. So you can see the difference. Last year, this time, it was about 1650. Today is 1940. Now, I moved out of my apartment, you know. Well, we all know why I moved out of my apartment, so let's just don't kid ourselves. Yeah! But anyway, my landlord, that young Skipperoo. That young Skipperoo, my landlord. He wanted me out of the apartment. I told him I wasn't going to pay no goddamn 12,000 pesos. He wanted to upgrade the apartment. And try to get, oh shit. His aim is to get, hell no. His aim is to get, no. Oh, see, you always get this shit over here. No. I ain't got no money. See, that's the goddamn problem. That's these Venezuelans. Well, it ain't just the Venezuelans. The Mexicans and shit. They'll come when you ain't looking. They'll start putting water on your windshield and shit. You know what I'm saying? And now they want you to get them some money. You know, shit like that. You know. Now I don't mind giving them, you know, 50 cents or something. I got it. I hate reaching in my damn pockets, pulling up money, man, you know. And then I got the goddamn, let me see, can I get the guy attention? Nah. Yeah, Nick, ain't doing me no good. Cause, hell, as dusky as it, here, man, there you go.
Thank you, bro.
As dusty as it is, shit gonna get back dirty anyway, right? Oh! Man! Now, I know some of y'all still having concerns about these license plates. I guarantee you these plates will be in the mail before I get on that aeroplane. Mañana! I just got to get the car inspected. Maybe I can get it inspected within the next 2 hours. Once that happens, then hey, I'm good to go. I can put them in the mail. I can't wait to get these goddamn plates in the mail, to be honest with you. Then I got to pack my stuff. Man, never ending. I don't know why there's so many. The line's so long today. You'd think that wouldn't be a lot of traffic going across the border over there. Somebody just mentioned to me about the Donald Trump. Zelensky, I can't think of the guy's name, Zelensky. Fuel that they had a couple of days ago. I seen bits and pieces of it. Couldn't quite figure out what was going on. I think a lot of it's got to do with Zelensky don't necessarily feel that America, the good old USA, under a Donald Trump administration, should be entitled to some of that fine minerals that is possessed in Ukraine. Now, he feels essentially like whatever contribution that was made by the United States to Ukraine in their war effort essentially was not a debt, that essentially it was a gift that the United States was just trying to help them hold off the Russians. Those big bad Russians, right? So, I mean, that was the base of that feud between Donald Trump and Zelensky. Donald Trump saying, listen, man, we spend a lot of money in Ukraine, and Ukraine got a whole shitload. According to some estimate, they got as much as 35 trillion, not billions, trillion dollars worth of fine minerals under the earth. They're in Ukraine. And what the Trump administration is lobbying for is to they have American companies go into Ukraine and extract those fine minerals to the tune at or about $500 billion. That's just a number for starters. By the time it's over, we're talking a couple of trillion. Let's just be for real. Everybody knows the $500 billion isn't the end number. So we're talking just like that no good sorry. You know who? Lindsey Graham from the great state of South Carolina, the senator. Now you can go on YouTube. Lindsey Graham said as recently as 90 days ago, maybe as much as 120 days ago, 6 months ago maximum, that Ukraine got $35 trillion worth of fine minerals under the earth in Ukrainian territory. And we're not going to let them Russians get that $34 trillion worth of minerals. So it's pretty substantial. Now I would imagine, essentially, if Zelensky had to pony up $500 billion, then that's a small deposit on some sort of security. And the security is getting the Russians to the table and getting a ceasefire in this war between Ukraine and Russia so that Russia does not commandeer any more Ukrainian territory. Because Ukraine as a country is 25% smaller today than it was when the war started more than 3 years ago. So if you get the Russians to stop commandeering Ukrainian territory, then those minerals will be available for the purpose of Ukraine to use to rebuild their infrastructure. Now, the minerals we're talking about, fine earth minerals, that's what we're referring to. They're used, like over the next 40 years, the probability is the gasoline engine is going to go away and we're moving to batteries. These lithium batteries, right? So the question becomes, where do we get the material to produce these lithium batteries? Well, these are the kind of minerals we're talking about. And a lot of these minerals used in applications in cell phones and laptops and computers and that kind of stuff. So, Ukraine represents about 12% of these fine earth minerals. Most of them are in Africa and Russia and Ukraine. If Ukraine represents about 12 to 13%, Russia represents about 26% of these fine earth minerals. And the other 55 to 60%, 55%, I imagine. It's in Africa. 1, 2, or 3 of these African countries, you know. Of course, they want to strike these dang on. Donald Trump trying to come up with a deal with Ukraine so he can extract these minerals for nothing. Therefore, Elon Musk get these minerals and continue to develop his empire. You know, I told you, yeah, Elon Musk is probably going to be the first trillionaire in the history of the earth. And they're getting them for cheap. I mean, real cheap. I told you, the $500 billion, that's just it, for starters. That's just to get them at the negotiating table. By the time the smoke clear, we talking $3, $4, $5 trillion. It's what we call highway robbery, right? Hey, how you doing, baby? Woo! What a beautiful, beautiful lady. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, man. That's why Zelensky is so skeptical about doing this deal. Because he know when the smoke clears, Ukraine gonna lose their shirt off their back. This is a money grab, make no mistake about it. But I digress. Now, I don't know why in hell I'm talking about this shit anyway, this Ukrainian crap. Him and Donald Trump. But Ukraine, they put themselves in this situation. Essentially, Zelensky, the European Union, and that no good, you know who, Joe Biden, who was the American president about 6 months, 90 days ago. Trump ain't been in power 90 days. Probably closer to 60. Yeah, man. Ukraine backed themselves in this corner. Because this war did not have to happen. Russia had no interest in Ukraine prior to this war. But when the United States decided back in 2008 really goes back to 2008, that they wanted to have the ability to put missile batteries in Ukraine aimed at Russia. So then when that happened, that Vladimir Putin said, oh no, you're not putting no dang on missile batteries that can carry nuclear warheads within 15 minutes from the Kremlin. The Kremlin, when you hear people say the Kremlin, it's like saying the White House in the United States. The Kremlin in Russia. That just wasn't going to happen. And so Russia invaded Ukraine. And they said, listen, we invading y'all. We just going to invade y'all and let y'all know, hey, we're serious about this. Blah, 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 blah. All we want to do is to get Ukraine back to the negotiating table so we can iron this thing out here and negotiate something that we both can live with. One of the things we cannot live with, according to Russia, the Kremlin, is NATO having forces in Ukraine. There can be no NATO forces in Ukraine, and that's what this thing is about. Now, Zelensky had the opportunity to deal with that situation. And they had a deal. They actually had a deal. Until Boris Johnson's former Prime Minister of Britain, the defunct Prime Minister, made a trip to Kyiv, that's the capital of Ukraine. Talked to Zelensky and said, listen, don't take this deal. We got you covered. We're going to make sure you have everything necessary to keep them Russians at bay. Eventually, Russia will implode on itself. And once that happens, you will be supreme here in Eastern Europe. And Ukraine will become a part of NATO. Ukraine will become a part of NATO. And we'll have military forces, the NATO military forces in Ukraine. That's the source of all this junk. Now, Zelensky went for that deal, as opposed to striking up a deal with Russia that both countries could live with. All they had to do is say, okay, listen, number one, Ukraine would not be a part of NATO. Number two, NATO would not have occupying forces in Ukraine. Number three, all Nazis sympathizers in Ukraine would be de-educated. In other words, there's a lot of Nazis. There's a lot of Nazis. The Hitler regime of Nazism in Ukraine. And so they had to actually neutralize any Nazi sympathizers in Ukraine, because there's a lot of them. Essentially, those are the three negotiating points. And Zelensky would have said, okay, we can concur this. Then the war in Ukraine would have been over within 30 days. Well, 36 months later, and more than 1.3 million casualties in the Ukraine. Ukraine's got more than 1.3 million casualties in this war. Now, when I say casualty, I don't necessarily mean KIA, killing action. We're talking about people that was killed in action and people that was injured in the war and is not capable of returning to the battlefield. Not capable of returning to the battlefield. And so the number is 1.3 million casualties this war. And Ukraine has lost a population. The Ukrainian population has fallen, I believe it was and Ukraine's a relatively large country too. Now, if I'm not mistaken, their population has dwindled from 23 million. They had 23 million citizens, Ukrainian citizens. Plus, they had they had a pretty good bit of foreigners also in Ukraine, particularly from some of those African countries, and of course maybe Oriental, China, Oriental, those Asian, those countries also. So the population dwindled from 23 million to about 17 million currently. Maybe 18 million, maybe a little bit more than 17 million. So they had lost more than 5 million people since the start of this war. 5 million. And so all of this could have been diverted if Ukraine didn't put all its eggs in the NATO and the United States basket. And now you got Zelensky essentially claiming that he thinks Ukraine should have been entitled to the money that was given to him by the United States, which in all actuality is about $150 billion. Now, I know Donald Trump said it was $350 billion, but actually it was closer to $150 billion. And Donald Trump said on the returns we want on that $350 billion, which is actually closer to $150 billion, is $500 billion. He said we want to return up $500 billion of Ukrainian fine earth minerals on that $350 billion, which is actually closer to $150 billion. Now, we all know United States is one of these countries like this. You give them an inch, they gonna take a dang mile. If you ever let United States in this, I always said, don't let United States in your country. Don't. Anyway, Donald Trump would probably tell Putin, if Zelensky said no, we ain't gonna go for that deal, Donald Trump probably get on the phone and call Putin and say, keep bombing. Keep bombing, goddamn it. Yeah! But like I said, if you give the United States an inch, they gonna take a goddamn mile. So, if Donald Trump saying, and he is saying publicly, $500 billion, which is $500 billion, when the smoke is clear, it's going to be way over $2 trillion. I know it, you know it, and Zelensky know it. That's why that issue took place the other day, that confusion, but that feud between these two parties. I guess they'll get it done, though. They're gonna have to get it done because Ukraine is no longer capable. If Donald Trump said, well, we're not giving you guys any more aid, well then, Ukraine fall on their face. Plus, they don't have a security agreement with Russia. That means Russia continue to commandeer Ukrainian territory. Bombardment. I mean, in all actuality, Russia really don't give a shit about Ukraine. They really, really, really ain't interested in. Everybody talking about Russia want to take over. Nah, they don't interested in taking over. Russia got more resources than any country on the planet. They got enough shit. They don't need that little bit of shit Ukraine got. Russia's about 10 times the size of Ukraine. They got the land mass Russia got is probably anywhere from 10 to 15 times more than what Ukrainian got. So whatever mineral, fine earth minerals they got in Ukraine, Russia already got those fine earth minerals. And some of the most fertile agricultural lands on the planet. The agricultural lands for growing, harvesting wheat, barley, and all that good stuff like that, Russia already got that. And they got oil for days. So it's not an issue if Russia want to just take countries and they have to move. Russia ain't trying to do no shit like that. They just want to make sure Ukraine don't get out of. We can't let Ukraine create a threat What did Putin call that shit? Some kind of threat for Russians they have to deal with over the next 100 years. See, they're laying the groundwork for the next 100, 200 years, of course. Exponential threat, some bullshit like that. So they trying to nip that shit in the butt right now. And as a result, NATO did not prevail. And Donald Trump, from the look of things, he don't have any interest in continuing being a part of NATO. And that NATO, the North American Trade Agreement, NATO, North American Trade Organization. Donald Trump don't necessarily feel that that organization need to continue to exist. So that might even go away behind this because they screwed up. They screw it up. Joe Biden and Europe, Brussels, Paris, they thought they could pull this off, but they fall on their face. And Trump doesn't want to be the face of failure. So rather than that, he'd rather just no longer participate in NATO and let the European handle that L. You know, that L, where he said, let the Europe handle that L. And Joe Biden, that's Joe Biden failure, Ukraine. And so he's trying to negotiate a deal with Putin so that, number one, the bombing stops. Number two, Russia will no longer occupy any new Ukrainian territory. And number three, Russia will agree to let the United States extract Ukrainian fine earth minerals. Essentially, for the purpose of rebuilding Ukrainian infrastructure. Now, I will tell you this. They don't need all that shit anyway, because hell, they ain't got no, they lost damn near 20% of their population in this war. If you consider the people that died in the war and the people that actually fled the country. They went from 23 million to like a little bit under 18 million. A lot of those people ain't going back to Ukraine. Shit. All them unexploded ordnance all over the place. Who wants to deal with that shit? But if you inclined to go to Ukraine, you know, once they get this ceasefire agreement, you know, if you want to go to Ukraine, you might find some opportunities. But I'm too old for that shit. That's number one. Number two, I don't think they particularly care for black people anyway. Even though they had a large African population. Rather, not large, but relatively large. Because a lot of Africans went over there and worked in the agricultural sector. And the coal mining and all that shit. Because there's a lot of jobs available. You know, African people, them goddamn Africans, man. They're always running from goddamn Africa. Anywhere but goddamn Africa. They will run their black ass out of Africa in a heartbeat. You go to the Philippines, shitload of Africans in the Philippines. Why in the fuck are Africans in the Philippines? Scamming motor scooters. Let me tell you something. Now, you can call me whatever you want to call me. Africans are goddamn scammers. I wouldn't trust a goddamn African, as far as I can piss. When you're dealing with Africans, you're always dealing with somebody who's trying to scam your black ass. So you better be worried. you getting in bed with these cocksuckers. There's always something that haven't been. There's always something to come. Let's just say it. There's always game coming. You never gonna fucking. Well, yeah. Ronnie, stop being so prejudiced, racist. I guess y'all can call me racist. But anyway, this video is 35 minutes. I had no interest in getting into the bullshit I was talking about. But since I know what the hell I'm talking about, I might as well enlighten a few people. So y'all can see what's actually going on here with all this crap here in the good old USA. Yeah! Now, as y'all know, I am departing the good old USA. Maybe long term, maybe not. Hell, you never can tell. If shit start going south, I ain't gonna hesitate to get my black ass out of there. That's for goddamn sure. But I will say this much. I'm not tied to one demographic, you know. If it don't work there, if I'm in the Pines and I got to get out of you know where I'm at, I can always go to another place in the Pines. I mean, I can. Yeah, boy. But anyway, United States has gotten too expensive for me here. To be honest with you, I don't feel like going back to work, man. I don't mind working when I'm working, but goddamn, I ain't been working for a damn year. I only worked 30 days in the last 16 months. Hell, I like sleeping till 9 and 10 o'clock. I hear a goddamn phone. It ain't my damn phone. Goddamn. Oh, man, I be wanting to kick these customs ass. Anyway, big boy fella signing out. Tell everybody, y'all know I say, hello. See you down the road. Y'all be good now. You're here. My last Mexican, I probably never step foot in Mexico again. I will say one thing. I better not say it. If I say it, y'all start thinking less of me. I will say I do love Mexico. I love Mexico. Don't let nobody shit you. I love it. The people there has been so graceful and so respectful and kind. I ain't never had a goddamn problem with none of them people over there in Mexico. They always treat me with the utmost respect. I'm serious. It is hard to imagine that I could have been treated any better than I have over the last 14 years over there in Mexico. I love it, man. I wish Mexico the absolute best. I hope the people over there I just hope they prosper and Mexico become a great country with the ability to have relevance and maintain good status quo and infrastructure for its people. And that the people over there in Mexico can enjoy prosper life like we do here in America, essentially. Well, one thing about it, I mean, hey, if you look at it, shit, they don't have all the stress that encompass the American type life. See, living in America can be somewhat rather, strenuous because it's expensive. And you got to work your ass off every damn day. And they got this financial system in the United States that they don't necessarily have in Mexico. And that financial system in America is about capitalism. Capitalism ain't all everybody's crank it up to be. To me, capitalism is a bunch of horse shit It deprives you to work your black ass off until you die so that everybody else can prosper from what your labor and what you have earned. Oh yeah, you might end up with a house and a car and maybe a 401k. Take a vacation once or twice a year or some shit like that. But your black ass will probably work until you 80 years old too. God damn it. At least when I was over there at night, like for that 30 days, I met 4 or 5 drivers in their goddamn 70s, man. What the fuck y'all out here in y'all 70s? Shit. Now you in the truck driving industry, they let you work until you're 85. You can drive a truck until you're 85 as long as you can pass the DOT certification. As long as you pass that DOT certification, your black ass can drive that truck until you're 85 years old. I know when I worked at Mesilla Valley, there's this old guy there. That guy been about 75 years old, man. He said, one day he gave me and him used to talk like old white guy, man. One day he came to me, he said, well, buddy, excuse that. Y'all didn't see that, okay. He said, well, buddy, look like this gonna be my last week. Probably my last trip. I said, oh yeah? This must have been about 15 years ago. He said, yeah, my wife told me I can't go out no more. He said, my wife told me to get out that truck. Like I said, this guy had to be at least 75 years old, man. Shit. So he went on that last. He used to run out there. To Detroit. He had a dedicated run because he been in Mesilla for like 20 years. He used to run a load up there around Detroit, drop it in the yard. The load was going to Canada, but he didn't go into Canada. He just go to Detroit. Drop that load in that yard in Detroit and get a trailer, bring it back down to Laredo. And then when he get to Laredo, he get another trailer and bring it back to El Paso. And then they let him have 2 or 3 days off. And then he'll do it again. But I digress. I know y'all not interested in that horse shit I was just talking about. Anyway, let me get on out of here. Y'all be good now. You're here.